All right. This is the last section of Chapter 6 that we're going to be dealing with at this time, and it's all about graphing systems of inequalities. Now, systems of equations is what we've been doing. Systems means there's two of them or more, and graphing them means we're going to graph one line and shade it appropriately. We're going to graph the second line, shade it appropriately. The overlapping of the shading is what's considered to be a solution when you have inequality symbols, okay? And that's the general idea. So let's do a little bit of review about the symbols themselves and what the shading looks like, because you've done this before, but you only did one line at a time, not two lines at a time. So we're going to be dealing with the greater than and less than symbols. And if you had symbols that looked like this, and I asked you to shade, what would you say this symbol is telling you?
It goes to the right.
Nope.
It's greater.
Yes, it's telling you it's greater than, okay? So greater than, if you're not sure, think of water in a bathtub or a sink. If I want greater water in my tub, which way would the water go? Up. Greater water would be more water, right? So you want to move upward. So you want to shade anything that's going to be above the line that you happen to draw. So a greater than symbol, you will shade above the line. Okay? Now we have two different symbols here. We have to be concerned about what type of line we're going to draw. Sometimes we draw a solid line, sometimes we draw a dotted line.
Isn't the greater than the dotted?
The equal to,
Yeah, equal to
is more ink on the symbol, more ink on your line. Okay, that's a real easy way to remember it. So this would represent a dotted line. This one would represent the solid line. Okay.
Yeah, what was the thing that you said?
More ink on the symbol, more ink on the dot, on the line. Okay. So now let's move to less than symbols. Less than and less than are equal to. All right. So this is a less than symbol because you came to the tiny pointy part of it first. If you were to read it like a word from left to right, it's a less than symbol. Think of water in the tub again. If I want less water in the tub, which direction is that water going to go? Down. So you want to shade below your line. So we want to go below our line. And once again, this inequality would have a dotted line when you draw it. This inequality would have a solid line. And the difference in their actual answer means that this does not include everything that's on the line. There might be bits and pieces along your line that would not make the problem truthful. If it's a solid line, every point, even if it's on that line, will make it truthful. It is a solution. It is part of the solution if it is solid. It might be part of the solution if it's dotted. Okay? So let's get started here. These first couple examples, they've more or less been worked for you, but they're not shaded very well, and we're just going to do it as review to get better at it. So if you have maybe a highlighter and a pencil, you might get that out because it'll come in handy when we graph. And I do have colored pencils up here once you start your homework. If you want to get a couple of pencils, that's fine. Just make sure you put them back for me when we get done, okay? All right. I am going to rewrite over here so you can see it all together. One of the equations that we have to graph is this one. The other equation we're supposed to graph is this one. Okay? So here we go. If I'm going to graph this first equation, y is greater than or equal to 1, does anybody know which direction that line can be drawn? Will be drawn. It is a horizontal line. Very good. If you do the slope dance that we did way back at the beginning of the year that some of you were not real eager to do, it does come in handy. Positive, negative, y equals 0. So y equals, with nothing else, it's a horizontal line, and x is undefined. So that means my begin here point is at 1. And so I would put a positive 1 on the y-axis. It's always on the y-axis. And it is a horizontal line. Notice that it's a, what kind of line? Solid or dotted? Solid line all the way across. And now we have to talk about where we shade it. It's a greater than. So which way should it be shaded? Above. So whatever color you have, shade above the line that you just drew. And be generous with your shading. Don't just shade a tiny little bit. Shade a great big space because it gives you a better visual of what's happening. Okay? Is that starting to come back to you a little bit in your memory of the graphing and the shading that we did earlier? Good. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. We graphed the first one. Now we have to graph that second line. Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we went up one space because that's greater.
Y equaled 1. It was kind of the begin here point because notice there wasn't a variable attached to it, so it wasn't a slope. It was my begin here point.
If it said, if you took out the y and it's put with an x there, then it would be on the x.
On the x-axis, exactly. Yes, perfect. Okay, so now the second equation is not in y equals, so we have to do a little rearranging. Okay, what are we going to move? The 3x. So we need to minus 3x from both sides, and we would have y is less than, it's now a negative 3x minus 1. Excuse me. What's my begin here point?
Negative 1.
Negative 1. So I'm going to put a dot on the y-axis at negative 1. My slope is a negative 3, so I should go down 3 spaces and to the right 1. So down 3 spaces and to the right 1. Looking at my symbol, is it going to be a solid or a dotted line? Dotted line, which they've done a really nice job on the dots. If I cover them up, I'll be a mess. Yes, sir. Yeah. Oh, when you have a negative slope, only one of those numbers can be negative. You decide. I made the 3 the negative and the 1 positive. So right here, this went down 3, but because this was a positive, I had to go to the right. It's just like, think of a number line. The numbers that go to the right are positive. The numbers that go to the left are negative. Okay? Now, we have to decide where to graph this. The shaded part is what compared to your line? Lower than or less than. So yeah, we're going to shade below our line. So we have our dotted line that we just drew, right? It was the dotted line that we just drew. It looks good, doesn't it, when you use highlighters? But caution, highlighters don't erase very well. So if you use highlighters and you wind up buggering it up, you have to start all over again. So just know that. It's really pretty. Yeah, it's really pretty, but it can become a disaster. So the shaded area where the two colors have overlapped and created green would actually be the solution to our problem. So if we had a business situation or we had a situation where we were looking for boundaries or solutions, any solutions we could come up with in that green area would work for both of our equations. Remember when we were selling earrings and bracelets in that one-story problem a long time ago, and we were finding points? This is kind of the same thing. Anything that would fall into this green area would make both of them truthful. Okay? Do you have any questions? Seem okay? You good? Okay. Let's practice. We're just practicing graphing, truly. That's what we're doing right now, okay? So let's move to the second graph here. Solve this system of equations using graphing. So find the M, find the B. B means begin here once again. So here are my two equations. 2x plus y is greater than 1 is one of my problems. And the other problem says y is less than or equal to negative 2x minus 2. So obviously they've drawn it for us, but we're going to practice to try to get the hang of it. On the first equation, is it set up to graph properly? No. I need to rearrange it. So I need to move the 2x to the other side. So I get a y is greater than, this is now a negative 2x and a positive 1. This is the slope. This is the begin here point on the y-axis. So I'm going to begin at positive 1. My slope is a negative 2. So I need to go down 2 spaces and to the right 1. Okay? So down 2 spaces and to the right 1 puts me right here. My symbol is now telling me all of the shaded part needs to be what compared to my line? Greater than, which would be above. So you can just put your pencil on the line and go above. Oh, I can see clearly now which side of this line I need to shade in. Okay? On the second equation, my begin here point, it looks good. I don't have to rearrange anything this time. My begin here point would be at negative 2. So this is the begin here point. On the y-axis is at negative 2. My slope is once again a negative 2. So down 2 spaces and to the right 1. I hope that you recognized that the slopes were the same. So if you were graphing something and they didn't turn out to go the same direction, even though the numbers are the same, you've graphed it badly. You've done something wrong. Because if they have the same slopes, they must be parallel. All right? So pay attention to your math. This one, however, says I need to shade which direction? Down below my line this time. And it's a solid line. So a solid line, and then I shade everything that's below. So, did this particular problem have a solution? They didn't. No, there's absolutely no solution because they did not overlap. Okay? If they don't overlap or have some blend of color, there isn't a solution. So far, so good? All right. Makes me happy. All right. So now we have this amusement park, and you will have a problem similar to this on your assignment today, so do pay attention. This guy's going to an amusement park. He's probably got his little brother or a kid there with him, and it says the rules are this child must be 5 to 9 years old and be between 30 to 50 inches in height in order to ride the rides. So we have to graph this situation. Now, think about what they gave us. They gave us a range of values. So he could be 5 years old up to 9 years old, right? So that means I have a range of values that would work. I need to graph those. So the way you're going to wind up doing these, please, 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 1,000 times please, when they give you what these are called boundaries, put the boundary numbers in order as if they should be on a number line. Which number should be on the left, the 5 or the 9?
5.
The 5, it's smaller. So you would say, okay, I have a 5 here and a 9. The youngest he could be is 5. The oldest he could be is 9. Now we're going to build the inequality that represents this. Let's use the letter A for the age, because that's what we're talking about. His age has to be what compared to the number 9? Less than or equal to. And then reading from the variable, always reading from your letter. A has to be what compared to the 5? Greater than or equal to. Remember, notice the symbols are going the same direction. They should always go the same direction when you're doing this type of compound problem. All right, now we're going to graph this. I know that the boundaries are at 5 and 9. What kind of lines will I be drawing?
Solid.
Solid. So down here on the graph, I go to where the age is 5, and I'm going to draw a solid line. And I'm going to draw a solid line where his age is 9, right? Where am I going to shade? Between the 5 and the 9, correct? So I'm going to fill in the whole area between the 5 and the 9, because you could be any age you want in here. That'd be cool, right? You get to ride the rides. I like rides. Now you have to be a certain height as well. So let's build the height inequality the same as we did the age inequality. What's the shortest you can be?
30 inches.
30, okay, so 30, and what's the biggest? 50, and let's use an H for height. So I have to be less than or equal to 50, bless you, but greater than or equal to 30, right? So now we're going to build our horizontal lines between 30 and 50. So at 30 is a solid line, because we could be 30 and we could be 50. Where will we shade on this particular, in between those two lines, right? Oh, that's just so pretty. Just FYI, if you use the pink and the blue highlighters, they turn a really pretty color of purple. Huh? Pink and blue make a really pretty color of purple. They do. They really do. Okay. So, can you see the box where all of the ranges and ages could be a solution? So, name a kid who could ride this ride. What would his combination be?
7 and 47 inches.
Oh, you got right on the edge. 7 and 47. So that was good. You went right up to there. Who would be unable to ride this ride?
You were 10 and 52
I'll be able to.
If you 10 and 52, you're right. You would never get on the ride. Braden, can you get on this? No. Okay.
You sure?
All right.
I wouldn't expect it clear.
So far, so good. Were you pretty okay? All right. Let's do the 2 triads at the very bottom of the page. Practice graphing and shading, and then we're done. Okay? So, real quick, see if you can graph and shade. I'm going to draw the other graph while you guys are working. All right. So what would y is less than 6 look like? Where would I begin?
At 6.
At positive 6 on the y-axis. What direction will my line be drawn? Horizontal, which means sideways. Solid or dotted? Dotted. How many of you epically failed right then? Yep. Uh-huh. Now, am I going to shade above or below this particular line?
Below.
Below, because it's a less than. So the shaded part is less than the number 6. The shaded part is less than the line. So all of this area down here needs to be shaded in. All right. The second line, what's the begin here point?
3.
Positive 3. 1, 2, positive 3. I have a slope of what? Very good. The slope is 1 over 1, so they're both positive. So I go up 1 and to the right 1. So up 1 and to the right 1. Dotted or solid? Dotted. And we will shade above this line. So that dotted line, up, right? And unfortunately, pink and green make a really kind of not so pretty color. It turns kind of brownish mush. Ugh. But, yeah. So, this area right here would be considered the solution, correct? That's where the two colors blended together. We good? Last problem. And this is just to test you to see how good your memory is. I know. That's what I do. See if you can graph that. Find the M, find the B. B means begin here. So on the top line, I'm beginning at -3. And the slope was a +2, so that means I should go up 2 spaces into the right one. It's a dotted line. And which way will this one be shaded? Up, above. So I put my pencil on the line and go above it, so everything that fell up in here needs to be shaded in. Fantastic. All right. That second one. Okay, it's not in y equals, so I have to rearrange it. So I need to subtract 2x from both sides. So I have -y is greater than or equal to. Moving it over becomes a -2x plus 1. Can't have a -y. Yeah, multiply everything by -1 to make it different. So this becomes a +y. This becomes a +2x. And this becomes a -1.
But that's all you need to know because of the slope.
Ding, 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 ding. How many of you forgot? You messed up, didn't you? Okay.
I didn't know.
How many of you remember to flip that sign? Oh, so some of you did remember from a long time ago in a land far away. All right, let's graph it now. Okay, we're going to graph it. So our begin here point on this is going to be what? -1. So it's going to go right about there. It's going to be a little hard to see, sorry. And my slope is a +2. So I go up 2 and to the right 1. I'm going to try to draw a line. And it's going to be a solid line, right? Okay. And which direction will we shade this thing?
On top.
We're not doing left and right. It's above or below.
Down.
Down. It's going to be below. You flip your sign. You didn't flip it, did you? Did you forget to flip?
Yeah, I was
All right. Maybe you need to take unplug your ears from your hat.
What the heck is that? Still big picture. I don't know why.
All right. So, can you see where the two blended together?
Yep.
But these were parallel lines. So how come there's a solution on this set of parallel lines, and in the past we've said parallel lines have no solution? Because they're inequalities. Okay, they're inequalities. So that means we have areas, not just lines, okay? We good?
Yes.
All right, let's hope this recording took. If not, I'll be crying later. Just know this. Your homework's at the top of your notes.